Eyes glitter like you're in a thriller. Heart goes pum pum pum. Ghostly figures, they can get so bitter. Sure you want to enter, you can turn back now. You don't know where I've been. What's going on inside? Where the monsters like to come alive, come alive. Do you really wanna know me? I'm really not that cozy. It's up to you, so you decide, you decide. Would you love me up my words till the coffin's in the dirt? Try to break me like a curse, you know that will never work. I'm a little bit absurd, I like dancing on the verge. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion, but could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're too scared, get out. A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. Na 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 na. Broken windows and a warning scribbled on my wall saying that you better turn around. Wouldn't be the first to try to burn me down. Your move, you too. Would you love me up my words till the coffin's in the dirt? Try to break me like a curse, you know that will never work. I'm a little bit absurd, I like dancing on the verge. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion, but could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're too scared, get out. A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. Na 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 na. Na na na. Could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're just taking sides. A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. My words till the coffin's in the dirt. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion.
Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together. Let's turn that a little bit. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, gatekeepers. My goodness. Let me take that off of there so I don't get screwed up. Hello. Welcome, gatekeepers. How are you today? I know it said Halloween, and I thought,
earlier. Hey, Jim's camera, welcome in. I haven't seen you in a while. Yay, just in time, sweetie. Come on in. Welcome, Vixen. Welcome, Uncommon. And welcome, Henry. Henry was first in here, sliding in. All these wonderful people. So here's my question. I've been feeling Halloween. I'm starting to look at, these little emojis. I was just looking at them, like the little fall leaves and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, if not so much the weather, because the weather's just crazy. I'm in Jersey, so go figure. But everything feels like it's sped up. Like everything bloomed faster. I think like the ducklings, seem to be off. It seemed like the birds came, had their babies earlier. I don't know. You guys seeing that? I mean, is somebody pushing buttons over at CERN or something, or HARP, or, well, we just got demonetized. Nothing new around here. Anyway, welcome in. It feels like things are speeding up, and I don't know if it's like some kind of a Mandela effect thing, or if it's, just the weather has got things, it doesn't, it is coming early, right? Exactly, Henry. Exactly. That's how I'm feeling. Hey, Ghost Dancer, welcome in. And hey, Scott's Life, welcome. We got Ghost Dancer over here. Hello. So good to have y'all. And Jim, again, like I said, wonderful channel. Get over there and follow him. Scott's got one too. Feel free to drop your stuff. If you're a mod over here, go ahead and share those links. Anyway, because here's the thing, everybody needs subs, and as long as we're talking about that, please go back out and hit the like. I really need the like. YouTube's been getting on me about my analytics and all this, and listen, I know this could be done better. I know I could spend more time doing, tabs and not tabs. See, I can't even call them. I need a kid is what I need, to do all my production, but tags and, just all of the stuff. And people spend unbelievable amount of time. Sorry about the sound there. Setting up their channels. And I think it's great. What I'm trying to do is get a little bit better at the content and trying to get, bring that content across. I don't know how people do it, because here's the thing, I don't cheat. If I said I read the book, I read the book. Reading a book takes time. Not everything's got an audiobook or something you can watch or whatever. Other things, editing. We've talked about how I used to spend all this time just editing. You don't get any time with your guests. You don't get any time with the people, your listeners. You don't get time with, researching for interviews and things like that. So you have to pick and choose. Anyway, I'm obviously not spending a lot of time, on the techie things that I can do to make my analytics better. What I can do though is ask you to hit the like and hit, if you can jump in afterwards and put in a comment, even if it's a short comment. I know you guys do that. You come in and you just like, hey, it was a good show. Fantastic. That's all I need. And I come in and I'll tell you, hey, thank you for being here. It's extremely sincere. It sounds short and sweet, but it's sincere. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you listening, and absolutely appreciate the comments and things like that. Share it out if you can, if it's a particular show that's not, some full throttle paranormal, when demons attack or something like that, and you can share it out to a family friend or somebody who likes, like tonight, likes outlaws and westerns and Billy the Kid kind of stuff and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid stuff. Maybe you can share that with somebody and you couldn't, an Exorcist or an Amityville Horror. So, please do that. It doesn't cost a dime. It just takes a second. Share it on your social media, or if you have your Instagrams or your, your TikToks, all that stuff, because it helps. I have a couple people trying to put stuff on Reddit. I hear that's hard. Don't ask me about it. They're saying it's, you have to be accepted in a certain group. So a lot of the true crime in my stuff is going out there. So that really helps, because YouTube definitely cuts me back. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to do something right now with, I've been pondering that for about a year, doing memberships and stuff like that. But look, I hate people pulling from my bank account, even if it's $2 a month or $1 a month. Those things can go really crazy. And, I just don't want to mess with it. I'd rather it be free and it's here. I don't want anything behind a paywall. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just, I just don't have time, because I'll have to take it away from either research or something else. And if I'm going to bring something up, I like to know a little bit about it. If I have a guest, I absolutely am studying what they're putting out. Sometimes that's a lot of stuff. So there you go. So thanks for that. Now, tonight we are doing Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And we are also talking a little bit about Etta. And you'll know if I was talking to Henry earlier in the comments here. In the movie with Paul Newman, Robert Redford, I believe that was Robert Redford's first. I could be wrong. Not his first gig, but his first big movie, I believe. Because he was also in that great Twilight Zone episode. I'll get Steve on here and we can talk a little bit about that because that was just creepy. It's one of my favorites, see if you can remember which one I'm talking about. But in that movie, they came to a really awful end and everybody talks about that iconic ending where they're coming out and it just freezes. And I remember when this movie came out, it was a big deal. I think I saw it in a drive-in theater with an older sister or brother or somebody. Anyway, it's interesting, but it's one of those mysteries where it's got so many different possible endings. And we're going to talk about a few of them tonight. Let's get Mr. Steve Stockton in here. If he's ready, he can give me a thumbs up. I don't want to drag him in here if he's got his, his hat on backwards or something. And see what we can, sort about it. But this is one of those guys where I'm riding with you because I don't really have a definitive answer. I have a feeling of what I think didn't happen. And we'll talk about that towards the end of the show, when we all have all the information. But this is one, where I'm not sure, And how do you feel about it going in? Well, we have a delay, so I'll wait for you guys to put in the chat and we'll go chit chat with Steve. So you guys know, everybody here knows Steve Stockton. I was putting him in the description today and I was thinking, gosh, what do I say about this guy? Storyteller and, content creator and podcaster, gosh, you have one podcast that's, doing good. No, he's got like 3 or 4. And it's like all over the place. It's wonderful. Each one of them very good. There's no two ways about it. And very interesting, missing persons and just odd tales and the deal. But he's multifaceted. He's also a decent human being, and I'm proud to call him my friend. So let's get him in here, Mr. Steve Stockton.
Hey,
wow,
honey. Thank you for that introduction. With an introduction like that, I wish I had a better show for your audience.
What'd I say? How you doing?
How you doing? Doing good, Cisco.
Yeah,
Cisco
baby.
was on you didn't mention the radio show.
I forgot about it.
On Clyde Lewis Ground Zero Radio Network. It's called Everything Out There. It's on Sunday nights from starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Cisco and Lynn Monet were my guests last night. If you didn't listen to it, you missed a wonderful one.
You missed it.
And
it's so
Cisco
good.
Had a classic line. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. Go listen to the show, and if you can pick out the line that's going to go on a T-shirt, I'll send you ebook copies of 5 of my books. How's that?
Wow.
Cisco,
that's not it, by the way. That's not even a hint.
It is.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play. But you don't. Yeah, wow, that's a great thing. I'm trying to be careful what I say because I'll flub up and say it. But I'm sitting there thinking, I know which one it is.
If you said it or not, I know.
I thought it was so funny.
See if we can work it into casual conversation tonight.
Yeah. Ooh.
But Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, I remember seeing that when I was a kid. I think I saw it at the drive-in too. I think I was with my friend John. He had older sisters and they had boyfriends, with cars and things. And they would sneak us into the drive-in theater. Back then, I don't think you paid by the carload. You paid by the person. And they'd put us in the back and put blankets and stuff over us. Or I've gone in the trunk before to a movie. Yeah. But
drive-in stories. God, I got a lot of drive-in.
That end scene there with Robert Redford and Paul Newman is just you felt kind of gypped, just like
where they froze. They just froze.
The projector break. What's going on there? I don't. Wait a minute. No, then there's. Yeah. But that was just so iconic. The B.J. Thomas, raindrops keep falling on my head with.
That's when songs. That was Burt Bacharach wrote this song
backwards. And he actually learned how to do that for the movie.
Did he really?
That's what I've read.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many different things about that. I mean, my mind is shooting off in all directions because I'm not even looking at the chat because I'll get knocked off right now. But I'm going to go back here in a minute and see if you guys can answer that question. But
What year
yeah, I'm
was that?
trying to
Like
remember where I was. I think it
73 or
was,
something?
say again,
So what year was that?
69. 69.
Was it 69? Was that?
I only
I
know
would have
that
guessed
because I
like
did the thing for today.
I would have guessed like 73.
I would
Although
have
I may
too.
not have seen it in its original release. Back then, the drive-ins, they would show older movies. Sometimes you go and sit through maybe two or
Three,
three
four
movies
years
till the
after.
feature presentation
Yep. 3
came
or
on.
4
So
years
it might
after.
have been 73 that I saw. For some reason, that popped into my head. Hey,
It
Vixen
would.
Doe, how you doing? Saying hi to the family. Oh,
Lulabelle, hi,
hello,
sweetheart.
Nicole. I
Hey,
love you.
Nick. Hey, Nick.
We
Hey, little
are.
man.
We have 4 weeks to go. We got our ultrasound today. This was the 36-week ultrasound.
Here it comes. This little
Baby
man.
boy Stockton is measuring in the 70th percentile.
Wow.
He's currently
Big boy.
around 6 pounds, 10 ounces, perfectly proportioned, has a ton of hair, and definitely a boy. You could see it in the ultrasound. His hair
I
was
can't wait
squishing
to
around.
put
Can't
my
wait
fingers
to
in there, mess it
meet
all up,
him.
get them
Yeah,
all fluffy like a little baby duck.
yeah.
You know, I used to put Magella in tones and Jesse's would
Yeah.
make like a baby lizard and stuff.
My mom would get after me with a tube of VO5.
Dippity do, dippity do.
Dippity doo,
VO5.
had that in
Yeah,
there too.
gosh. What was that blue Brill cream? What was that? Was
Brill
that Brill
cream,
cream?
yeah.
Brill cream was a big one. What was the one the
Brill
guys used
cream.
all the time?
Little dabble do you.
Dabba do you? What was it?
Pomade
Dapper
was
Dan? I'm thinking Dapper
the
Dan.
other one that the barber would put in there. POMADE.
Pomade.
And
Yeah.
I think
They
Brill
put that in
cream
Tone's
is
hair
that
once.
the one that
He about killed the guy.
wasn't that Dick
He
Tracy
wanted
advertised Brill cream, I think. I don't remember. They used to have a thing hanging up in the barber shop advertising some kind of hair product.
Lulu the
And it was
legendary.
Dick Tracy. Hey,
Is
Scott's
that a
wife, how you
sloth
doing?
with bacon? Is that a sloth hanging upside
It
down
does
there,
look
Steve?
like a sloth.
I think it could be a sloth. That's adorable. Look at that. Look at these. Here's comes some more. These emojis, I'm telling you what. Yep. Aw, and Molder too. Look, he's got a little Molder on there.
Yep.
And look, little baby.
And he got
Look,
his
little
tongue
man.
hanging out there.
That's sweet. It's good to, yeah. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Raindrops. Yep. Who's fibbing? Jim? What's this? You are keeping it real. Too many are shortcutting and playing out ribbon. Just saying. Oh, thank you very much. Let's star that one. I don't even know what the stars are for, but I like them. I'm just, I'm me, and I'm gonna spend time on what I want to spend. Steve has known me for years. I'm not doing a damn thing I don't want to do. I'm too old to care.
Yeah.
My bucket jar has been empty a very long time. I don't know how to say. And that lid's on there, probably rusted on that old girl. You know what I mean? Probably got all kind of buttons in it and stuff, but there ain't no fucks left in it. It's just this, I'm not. I enjoy this. I look forward to this. I love getting together for 2 hours with people all around the globe. We've got people in South Africa. I've had people in Vietnam. I know most of them are stealing content, putting whatever. I don't care. I don't have the time. Time it got expensive, hasn't it, Steve? I mean, you got to pick and choose, and I'm going to do what makes me happy, or I'm not going to do it. There's a few things I have to do that I really don't like to do, and I got to do them just to be, a human being on this planet. Paying taxes and all this other stuff, and some other things that really rub me the wrong way. So I'll be doggone, So I'm just going to do it this way, and we enjoy it, and we enjoy being here, and I couldn't love it more, But, again, it takes time. Steve will tell you it's a full-time job. Just to have a little bit. I'd love to be able to go to 3 or 4 nights a week, or have a little something laid on, and then I can't do it. I got to work.
The nights that I do like a live stream, it takes all day to plan it out and set it up, and then it doesn't always go as planned. I mean, there's always you can't factor in an unknown and something. No matter how good it goes in rehearsal, something I'll miss a cue, I'll hit the wrong button, I'll start the wrong video. But that's just
recording the whole daggum 2-hour thing. You don't have the audio turned on.
That's part of the joy of doing it live. It's just the seat of your pants.
Here it is. Let it go. And the next day, if I got a little, Timmy the flute player gets on there, and a piece of his music was on something, I'll just cut the bitch out. The next day, you have to be here live to see it. It's like I didn't do it on purpose. I apologize all over the place, but no. your 21 seconds of, flute,
and then it's,
whatever,
to its credit,
respectfully,
YouTube will hear that, and I've had them try to claim a 2-hour video for like a 15-second clip
15
of some
second.
audio in there.
I had an 18-second yesterday.
But I'm like you, I'll cut it out. I don't
Cut it
care.
out.
There'll be a big gap
Erase
in there.
song.
Jump
Trim it
cut.
out.
We don't care.
Trim it out, put it back up. Again, it was, accidental. Or if they tell me, sometimes they'll tell me it's cool, go ahead, run it. It's all right. 3 weeks later, they'll change your mind.
Yeah.
Or here's the one I love. When the Intertubes gives you a song from their from their place, right?
Yeah.
And then they come back 2 weeks later and copyright you on it and claim it's somebody totally different. And I'm like, you gave me the song.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
It says it's,
and it's usually someplace like Indonesia or somewhere like that. I have B-roll footage that I license. It's licensed stock footage. And then I've had other people claim stock footage that I've paid for and licensed. Then some guy sitting in his hut in Indonesia will say, hey, you stole that from my video. I want all the money.
That's my drone footage.
No, and then
honey, no.
You have to go in, and it's a lengthy process. You have to dispute it.
Nope.
You have to send a copy of the license where you license that clip. You have to do great record keeping and bookkeeping. But I've yet to not have one turned. Been all my disputes have been favorable. How's that? I'll say it that way.
There you go.
But it's a pain.
So mine. I walked away from every one of them
because somebody wants to not do the work and claim your work as their own. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I mean, you don't do that. You don't plagiarize. You don't. But listen, I'll come up in here and pull up an advertisement, share a screen, and read somebody's article and tell you that it was October 11th from the Peach and Pear Gazette or some crap from Lucy McDougall, and she wrote this article on it. She got it somewhere, but I'm going to tell you it's her work. I'm not, because I wouldn't want somebody to come here and say, that they made this floral arrangement or they did. There's integrity. There's morals involved. There's integrity, and there's stuff I'm gonna spend time I'm not. When I decided we were talking about Butch Cassidy, do you know? Yeah. Guess when I decided we were talking about Butch Cassidy tonight? At 10 a.m. this morning.
Yeah. But I get that same thing with a guy whose initials are DP, David, who. And people come after me all the time. Oh, you're stealing his work. Really?
Yeah,
you can't talk about the Dennis Martin disappearance. That belongs to DP. Oh, it
doesn't. No,
I lived in the same town as Dennis Martin. I was 5 going on 6. He was 6 going on 7. I clipped stuff out about the newspaper, about that case when I was 6 years old.
Yep.
Oh, but that's not your case. You can't talk about that, Steve Stockton. Every one of those. I've never used that person as a source. I use NamUs, the Charlie Project, police, law enforcement reports, SAR reports.
We give a shit.
Get in there and dig around and get the most accurate information I can. The only thing that he owns is his books and movies, misinformation and omissions included. Do your own research, as he's fond of saying, and you'll find out that the
keyboard warriors. I guarantee you,
I'll leave it at that.
Honey, 95%. 95% of the people behind the keyboard warriors, these Cheeto, finger stain, whatever.
Yeah.
In the room with me wouldn't say nothing.
No,
nothing.
Come and stand in my face and tell me that I'm stealing stuff. I never stole anything in my life, and I'll give you a knuckle sandwich there. That's it.
Right. Now you're talking about defamation. Now look, I'll tell you, if I did, I put that picture up there, but so did 9,900 and whatever other people on the internet. I never said I took the picture
before his. Sometimes
is that not obvious?
Before.
I'm sitting here working a podcast. I'm out taking pictures.
Confidential. Lost by Dwight McCarter. He was a ranger in the Smokies. Unsolved Disappearances by Juanita Baldwin, I think was her name, written in 1996, a long time before this clown ever came into the idea that he owns everything.
No, but
let him come after me. I don't care. I'll see you in court. I'd love to get him on the stand. I went to law school. A lot of you don't know that. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I don't even play one on the internet. I never sat for the bar. But Steve Stockton went to law school. Okay, I just decided it wasn't for me.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I love. I love constitutional law.
Yeah,
That's the criminal law and constitutional law. I love both of those. I mean, that did skip
I love torts. That's my
my
favorite.
sprinkling just a little bit, but and I love court cases, and I could I could just tear them apart. I remember court
And
TV
I
came
had
out. My kids were young. I'd fold laundry and just solve
yeah
cases like nobody's
yeah
business. They should have
love court
called me.
TV and but
They should have called
I
me.
had a professor in my pre-law that taught me things. He said, "This is a play. You better know
Yep,
your
yep,
part."
yep,
And
yep.
the jury is the audience, and the judge is the director, and all this. It's all a play. You have to know your parts, and you have to present your part to convince the audience that you're correct.
Hmm.
And he said, if you can do a good job at that, uh, you won't even go to court. A lot of times, they'll settle out of court when they see what you're going to put
Yeah.
them up in front of. So I missed my calling, but
They made
uh,
it so I would have loved to have been maybe a country lawyer back, back
yeah,
in the day, like in the 50s or the 60s when
yeah,
integrity was like put right up front.
yeah,
People wore ties and, things
yeah,
like, you know what I mean? It was just a little bit, look, they were just as dastardly, underhanded, the sick,
yeah,
freaky some bitches, but they hid it well. And they kept up an appearance, and you got to, that accounts for something. I
yeah.
mean, there was just as many sick people. Look, Steve and I have dug back how far back you want to go, and everybody is still the same. They just handled their outward persona a little bit different, which is extra creepy. It's very more almost psychopathic, in a way. You know what I mean? Because they, everybody hit it different. That, everybody's dad, the great, whatever, but he's got some secret thing going on in the garage. You know what I mean? But nobody knows it because he comes home like fathers knows best and puts his slippers on, gets the pipe, and puts a sweater on like Mr. Rogers. But
Yeah.
he's got, heads in the cellar. It's just, it's happened for forever. People wrote saucy letters to each other, in the Revolutionary War, in the Civil War, probably on caves back in the day. Some of those hieroglyphics and stuff, they probably mean something totally different than
And
what we've
that's
come
what
up
I
with.
liked about tort law. It was the basis of tort law is that people are responsible for the consequences of their actions. There you go. If
Th-
a lot of people were held responsible for what they do,
Yep,
the world wouldn't be in the shape that it's in.
yep, yep, yep. No, no means no. And it's just it's the way it is. It's the way it is. When we started
Didn't
giving
mean to get
everybody a
on my
trophy,
soapbox there, but here you go.
we lost it. We lost it when
We
everybody got a trophy.
ran out of the road.
Not
There are
everybody's
no
special.
participation trophies. Not everybody's a winner. There
Nope.
can't be a winner unless there's a loser. You have to
Nope.
look at it
And
that
if you're
way.
not a winner in one thing, you might be a winner in another. What's the
Yeah.
big deal? Change your objective. I
Yeah.
mean, gosh, how many
And if
different
you don't
people I've been
win,
in my life?
practice more. Try harder next time. Try to improve.
Adapt and
If everybody
overcome.
gets a trophy and nobody loses, then what's the point? Why are you even doing it?
Why are you even doing it? That's what I say, Steve. My God, what other problems can we solve tonight? I'll tell you what.
We can
I have to
solve them
go in
all.
and
We got
find this
enough time
video.
here.
It wasn't ready. Well, it's put it up. Let's knock it down. We'll kill it with common sense, and if we can't figure it out, we'll turn it into a supernatural cryptid or something. Because
And
I'll
if
tell
you
you what, there's
can't
a lot of
dazzle
stuff.
them with, go ahead.
Diamonds baffle them with bullshit.
Yeah,
That's
there
a
you go.
fact.
If you can't dazzle them with wit, baffle them with bullshit.
Baffle them with bullshit.
You talk about cryptids and stuff. There's all kinds of shit out there that we haven't even scratched the
Even
surface on
touch,
yet.
not even.
Or no,
In fact, that's going to be one of our Monday nights. I was going to do it tonight, but it's a lot of even these short little flip, just
that's
flashes
the
of
ones
clips
I
of
love.
movies and stuff. It
The
takes a lot of time.
little
I
local
didn't have it
cryptids
today.
that aren't big news. The little things like you go into any community, especially down south.
Like that little ninja we talked about last week, or
They've
I think
got a
was it last week?
crybaby bridge. They've got a white lady that walks the side of the road, or lady in white, whatever. They've got a vanishing hitchhiker and stuff. But there's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear about the big ones, but there's little ones. There's all kinds of like robots, and I've heard about one from Alabama the other night on From Beyond, something we were covering. It was the something metal man, where the sheriff encountered some kind of metallic looking robot thing standing in the road in somewhere in Alabama.
Really? A robot thing? Oh, come on, that's creepy. A robot thing. in
Metal,
Alabama. I've seen a
man.
lot of things in Alabama now. I'm here to tell you,
It's
eh,
the
there's some stuff.
Falkville, Falkville, in Falkville, Alabama, on October 17th, 1973, and that was a good year.
Mm.
There was a big UFO flap that year. I was 10 years old.
That was a good year for
Um,
cheese too.
a space a spaceship was spotted out on a
It
field.
was.
When authorities got involved, the chief Jeff Greenhaw didn't see a spaceship. Instead, he would later regret, but saw something he said would later
Hey,
regret
cat.
seeing an alien, a tinfoil creature in a suit fabricated from or similar to thick aluminum foil. And let me show you a picture of this beast here.
Please do.
I don't know if you can see that or not, but
Oh my goodness.
that's what the sheriff saw.
All right.
The Falkville, Alabama Metal Man.
Well,
I'm working on a series called Dark Tales from Every State, and I'm doing 3 from every state in the union. And I found that one after I'd already made a video for Alabama, so there may be a part 2 in there. That's
you should do it. Don't limit yourself. It could be a part 10 because I guarantee you got about 10 episodes from me just from Jersey.
Yeah.
The crazy stuff that goes on here.
Just 2-3. There hasn't
Don't let
been
this scare you. I
anywhere.
got to load this. I'm not gonna play it.
Any state that I haven't been able to find at least 3 stories. Some of them more obscure than others. I heard one about it's in my Connecticut video. That's the next one coming out. You'll have to watch that. There's one in there that I'd never heard anywhere before. That's the ones that I love. These little local thing like the Dover Demon and things like that.
Right.
Maybe just seen once or twice over a couple of nights, and that was the end of it. But it still lives on in the people's heads. Sorry, I'm just
no. Go ahead. I'm playing with the
excited.
little squares and stuff down here.
I've got baby brain. I'm so excited. I mean, 4 weeks today, 4 weeks or less. He may be here. He may be here sooner than anticipated. I mean, technically, he could show up anytime.
I keep telling you, he's going to get here when he wants to get
Just
here.
a few
I was
more
trying
days,
to see.
he's
You've got a
totally
little
liable.
thing. Okay, I figured it out.
What did you
I was
figure
trying to get you. You know when you're talking.
Yeah.
See, guys, this is all happening. First of all, we've had Lindsay pop up in here, and Kat's in here. Kat did a little video for us last night. She had some cornbread and some corn, some cream corn recipes and stuff. She had some good home down cooking. Home down,
the baby
hometown,
cornbread.
Down home. There we go. I had it bass backwards.
Like
Okay.
pork chops and applesauce and cornbread, and boy, it's good. There she is. Hey, Catheter.
Here's Lindsay.
Lindsay Lou. I think I said hi to everybody. Henry Nelson's in here.
Hey, sweetheart. All the way out there in Canada. How you doing out there, sugar?
Now what
How's things in your hometown? All right.
Talking about here.
What are we talking about?
You said I had a little thing, and that was as far as you got. Talking about this, my memento mori on my.
Oh no. On your in your StreamYard. So yeah, that's what I was talking about. The little squares. So again, we're learning in real time here on the field. You've got underneath the screen what you guys see. There's these little squares, and Steve's square has a little square in it, and I wasn't sure what to do with it. And everybody, I watch a lot of podcasts, and they'll when the person talks and they're telling a story.
If you wanted to zoom in on me and make me really sweat,
like that. I figured it out.
Let's go.
There it goes. Back to me, and I hit it again. There we go. So, and I can do it to me too, but nobody wants that. Let's get that off there.
Where you can do different setups for like when we're watching the video.
I like that one.
It's fun to play around with. And you can do custom ones too. You can make up your own and save them.
Right. It took me.
StreamYard.
You're going to laugh, but I have been working on this Rumble channel. So I'm going to put an all out call to you. I mean, you guys who have your channels and stuff like that, you figured out YouTube. I'm trying to get my Rumble channel. Now, here's the problem. I heard through the grapevine that when you first opened Rumble, and I opened a Rumble app the minute one was available, and then you can go to the website as well. Rumble doesn't cut what you want to say. You can show all kinds of things. So I could show you a movie over there, and I'm not going to monetize it, but they'll let me show it to you. My main thing is I want you to see it. I want to see it with you. That's my crazy thing, and like I wanted to show you 1776 and Time of Their Lives and stuff like that. We could watch it together over there, which would be cool. So I'm really trying to get, and plus I can say what I want to say over there and be like kind of Cisco unplugged, and nobody knows what that would be like. So I'm trying to get over there and do
Let's
it
go after dark. That'd
after
be
dark. Ooh, I love that. So I don't know. Wait a minute. Let me think about that now. So anyway, that might be too scary. So anyway, I'm trying to work it through, and turns out I had like 5 different channels, had to shut down 3 of them. I'm afraid to shut down one because it's got all my stuff on it, but where all my videos are, I can't quite get there. So I've got it down to 2, and the only thing I can think of is completely cancel both of them and start from scratch. I don't want to do that. So I'd love to talk to somebody. If you know how to set up a Rumble channel, can answer a couple of questions. Tell me what button to hit. Because what I'm trying to do is load that channel into this one. So when I stream here, I'm also streaming there. And then I can go into that channel as well and do shows that aren't even on here. Or we could do like half a show here and say, okay, now we can get down and dirty. We're going to shut it off on YouTube and we're going to go right over to Rumble.
That's like
and finish the conversation.
In Belief Hole do that. Like,
yeah.
If you like what you see here, come on over to the expansion, which is behind a paywall, and
right.
we'll show you the rest of the story. And
right.
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
there's nothing wrong with
that.
You
get for free, and then you pay $1 or whatever, and then you get to come and hang out.
Right.
You know, that's just
you could do that. What I want to do is I don't want to put it behind a paywall. I just want it to be over there because I want to be able to say what I want to say and show you what I want to show you. You know, if we want to do a reaction video or, you know, whatever, or we're doing something where we're trying to learn, YouTube doesn't let you do that. The next day I got to cut half of it out because, you know, and then the people who watch it after don't get to see it. And that stinks. You know, they really should be here for the live, but a lot of people watch this.
People will not go back and watch a live stream. I found that out too.
Yeah. And they can't figure out my intro and I'm not changing it.
They want to be there in the moment and then they don't care.
And that's it.
So, but then other people
the interaction
will go back and watch it. So you've got both crowds and you can't please everybody. So you got to please yourself. The one thing that StreamYard that I wish they have, and every time at the end of a show, it'll ask you, how did we do? Do you have any recommendation? I asked for dark mode. How simple would it be to have a dark mode here? Everything here is white. Like I can do that. And see now there's very little glare reflection. But then I can't see the chat. But otherwise it looks like that. And it's all in my glasses.
And I can't really get mine.
And you know, you can drag
much
the windows.
Darker either.
Like up there where we're at, you could put us on. You could switch sides and things. You can click and
I
drag
can do
on
what?
those windows. The windows that we're in, our individual windows, you can click and drag those across the screen and reposition them if you want to.
I didn't know that.
Really helpful if you've got more than 2 people on there.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, sounds cool. Again, I put it out there. If you know anything about Rumble and you can help me flip
Sadly,
that. Now,
I haven't gone over there yet.
Well, it might be as simple as the RSS feed, but my main thing is these 2 channels. Why do I have 2? And why can't I get into one and get this verified? And I think I'm going to probably have to shut them all down, even though there's people. I have some videos on one channel where people are actually watching them, getting some play over there. And it's nothing big. It's nothing like I have here on the YouTube. Gosh, I've got so many videos on this. I mean, really good interviews with people that, you know, aren't doing interviews anymore. A lot of them, you know, so catch them if you can. But, and we've put a couple up here too, like Mark Shaw. Go ahead. What's up?
I'll talk to you offline. But in StreamYard, there's a way up there where you can stream to other
channels,
destinations.
Right. That's what I'm trying to do.
Other destinations, because I've done that through StreamYard. I've been live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch at the same time. And then there's a custom RSS. If you've got the RSS feed for
just
your
load it in
channel, you can do it simultaneously.
We're doing right now. We're live on Facebook, and we've got some people over there, and then we're live on my YouTube channel on one of them, and one of my Facebooks, but on the Journey Through the Gate one. So that comes up pretty good. Now it'd be great if I could get it on Rumble. I'm not going to mess with Odyssey and all the other ones. Look, I know, you know, we know some big wigs out there that, you know, do 10, 12 different things through OBS and all this other stuff. I'm not interested. Been there, done that. No,
I don't like OBS.
I don't like it. The sound.
Shit, that's what
it's
OBS
absolutely insane.
It
you
is.
know, hours and hours and hours.
It'll do a lot of stuff, but
honestly, God, I spent Steve. I spent 3 hours picking emojis.
Yeah,
just picking friggin' emojis for the people on my Rumble channel so they can throw it in the chat because it's fun. But for every one you get, you have to load like 20, 30 of them to see if it'll take it. And you know what the emojis are that move. You might have a duck dancing or a cat with headphones, or whatever, just fun stuff, a ghost, doing all kind of things or whatever. So I'm trying to put things that you guys can use in there to throw up to, dance and stuff. Lulu loves to dance. D-Rock's out here dancing a lot of times too. So you have dancing things so you could dance, and it's fun. But you don't realize that it takes hours and hours and hours. And I'm sure without a doubt, if I had a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, maybe even a 9-year-old, they could get it done in 20 minutes. I know I go backyard and do back door and do all kinds of things the hard way.
A 12-year-old kid, and they can set
but
it up
I'm sorting
in
it,
no time.
as best I can, and I might have to watch 10 YouTube videos to try to figure it out. But, it's crazy. And I make a lot of mistakes, and that's just the way it is. So anyway, Butch Cassidy. What do you know about Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid? Pretty much the movie, right?
Yeah, the movie, and there was some, I've read some of those dime westerns and things. And
right.
Again, those accounts were written in order to sell dime westerns. So you get a lot of
that's what it is.
Flourishing and a lot of poetic license, artistic license in there. I mean, there's if you read and believe those things, Billy the Kid did all kinds of stuff. He might as well have been a circus performer, and same with Butch Cassidy and Sundance. But I know, but basically the story that's portrayed in the movie, and not really beyond that.
Sounds good. I'll check into it, honey. On are you talking about on Rumble? I think she's talking about Rumble, Steve. What do you think?
I think she's talking about what you can do on StreamYard, but I don't
on StreamYard.
know.
Destinations. See, I'm only doing 2 right now. I've got 3 up there that are real faded that I don't stream to anymore, and I don't know how to get them the hell off. But they're not active.
On what plan you're on. Cisco, I've got to step away for a moment. Amazon's here with the baby's coffee maker. I'll be right back.
Oh, that he has to have that. Go get it.
Yep.
For Pete's sakes, get that baby's coffee maker. I hope it's in his colors, for the love of Pete. Black, midnight blue, and gray. And it better be some damn good coffee, because, that's he's coming into a world of coffee lovers. You know what I mean? Only the best. All right. What you got going on, Henry? He's got a little emoji out here. Oh, he's drinking. He's drinking. Oh, from StreamYard. Oh, thank you. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm on the, I can't remember. Is it the basic? I think it's the basic. Yeah. And that's fine. 3, I'm fine with 3. So we'll do Facebook, for our people over at Journey Through the Gate, Facebook, page. And then we'll do, oh, you're drinking coffee. Okay, sweetie. Yeah, please do, Kat. Tell me what you think. Seriously, we'll get together this week when you got time and I'm not at work, and I'll sit there and I'll try to do it. But I really think I'm going to have to. There's a little thing about Rumble, and a lot of my friends who have 500,000 subscribers over there, even more. Some of them 1 million. And they're running OBS on the, some of them do StreamYard, some are doing Zoom. But anyway, they said something about when Rumble first came out and you got the app, you can't be a creator on that Rumble page that you created at that time. You have to open a new one and be a creator, or you have to cancel that one out and open a new one altogether and start over, which is what I think I'm going to have to do. I think I'm just hitting those walls is what I'm saying. That's where I am right now. I'm past all that other stuff. And one of them, the one I want to keep, I can't get verified because I use the same phone number on the other one, and Rumble's real big on phone numbers. You only use it once and I don't have another phone. So, I'm hitting those kind of glass ceilings there, but I just need to get it sorted out. And again, it might be a little bit easier if I could just do that. So that's enough of that. When I'm going to wait for Steve to come back after he's getting the baby's coffee maker. So here's the thing. Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, to me, is very similar to like the Billy the Kid story. And so many other ones. I'm sure Steve could name a lot off the top of his head. Because even the Jesse James, because we hear that kind of mystery coming from Jesse James. Was he really shot by his cousin? Was it a setup? Was it really Jesse James? Was it that kind of thing going on? Billy the Kid, did he really die and get killed by Pat Garrett, in that little, I think it was New Mexico, that little village there that he was kind of hiding out, and Pat Garrett, he was kind of set up and he comes out and gets shot. There's that controversy there. Did Billy the Kid really get shot by Pat Garrett? Nice. Black and Decker. Look at that. 12 cup.
Yeah.
At least it's in one of its colors. You kept the theme going.
Yeah. Black and Decker, they used to just make like power tools and stuff. And now they make can openers.
I've had a Black and Decker.
Good luck with Black and Decker stuff. We've got a Keurig machine, but we decided we missed I've got a percolator, but
I can't deal with those Keurig things. That's not enough coffee for anybody. Yeah. That's a coffee tease.
That's what we decided. This way we can make a pot and then sip on it all day.
Tell them what your thoughts are. I'm going to run and get some hot water, and we'll run this little video and start getting in search of Butch Cassidy here, Steve. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay. Well,
so we were talking about Brushy Bill and Billy the Kid and all that, how it's all kind of a mystery, even Jesse James.
Yep. And my dad, who was born in 1921, said that there was a guy that came to his high school. So this would have been around, sometime in the 30s, that claimed he was actually Jesse James, that he didn't get killed by whoever it was that killed Jesse James. I can't think of his name right now. But he's some old man. He had all these fancy pistols and stuff, and he told stories and talked about his life as a bank robber. And so who knows? I mean, there's a lot of those old stories like that out there. Particularly the Westerns, the Old West, the tales of the Old West. You had certain luminaries, like Wild Bill and Bat Masterson and Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, who we're talking about. Tonight is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. See, they're all kind of interchangeable. Some of them are so much alike that it's easy to.
They all have their little extras, though. I mean, I certainly can't tell you. I mean, there's things that I could peel off, dates and names. Gosh, I could tell you what some of them had in their pocket. Yeah. But in certain things, like a Bonnie and Clyde or something like that. But with certain ones, like the outlaws in the West, it seems like they went so far in between, crimes. Now, most of their stuff was Utah, Montana. And then, oddly enough, South America, which is where we get that iconic ending in the movie, where it just freezes, right? Because they're supposed to be dead in Brazil, wasn't it?
I think so. But yeah, they were outnumbered and decided, we're going to go out there and shoot it out, and then that's how it is.
What happens? Little video. This one's short, but it give you a little info. Get you ready. Butch Cassidy's real name was Robert Leroy Parker, and the Sundance Kid was born Harry Alonzo Longabraugh. Yeehaw! I wanted to stop and see if Steve wanted to read this, because this is right up your little dark alley, honey. Can you see it? Wait, you're muted. You're muted. It's okay. It's okay.
Faux pas there.
You'll like this. You'll like this. Go ahead. This is how they become the Wild Gang.
Detroit Evening Times, April 18th, 1943. I would have thought it would have been before that, but anyway.
Right. It's just a guy telling a story.
He handpicked a bunch of partners as young and full of mischief in every sense of the word as himself. On one of their larks, they set out to track a grizzly, the hugest and most ferocious quadruped in our hemisphere. They caught up to him in the mountains, lassoed him, and for a half a day gambled their lives and limbs, teasing him. After that, Butch Cassidy's gang was called the Wild Bunch. They began with rustling cattle. So they they caught a grizzly
Ain't that
bear and
something?
we're teasing it for fun. Now, that is
Yeah.
a wild bunch.
That's a wild bunch. And I thought you'd enjoy that. That's why I put it in here. Now, this was a story being told by one of the old timers that
well, the old
was like the
timers. That date
grandson
threw
of
me
the,
off. I'm like, wait,
yeah,
1943? What's
he was
going on
the
there?
great grandson or the grandson of somebody, and his grandpa told him the story of how they got the wild bunch because he was, whatever. But it was one of those. It wasn't the time because they were way back. All right, here we go. This is fun. Telluride. Go ahead.
Want me to do it? Telluride, Colorado. Butch Cassidy and his associates robbed the San Miguel Valley Bank, making off with at least $20,000. And in 1889 money, that's probably what, several $1 million?
Yeah, that's a lot of money. That's
Let's
a lot of
see
money.
what Google says.
You look up 20,000
in 1889.
It was the 1889. Telluride, Colorado. I'll tell you, that's a pretty place, but
Or
if you're a Tuscalorian.
Right now it's
Who caught
about
that?
$662,989. So over $500,000.
Wow. They're doing pretty good. That'll get you some prostitutes and whiskey, I'll tell you that right now. Because that's pretty much what they did. Here's one here, Steve. When you get time.
Okay, I was still looking at this.
That's all right.
I was making sure my figures are right. 1896, Montpelier, Idaho. The Wild Bunch robs the bank, escaping with $70,002 or $7,002?
Probably. I don't know. I messed up somewhere. Put it
Yeah.
wherever you want it.
Either
A lot. A lot.
of money for a one.
Hey,
hit.
Henry.
Hanging AZs here.
There's your shot. There's your shot right there.
Henry and Henry Nelson. That was the very end of the picture, I think.
This is where it froze right
and
there. That was it. That's it.
And everybody in the car that I saw it with at the drive-in was like, "What?
You just sat there.
No, we sat there 2 hours, and everybody's just like."
I hate those endings. I swear I do.
We thought the projector broke.
Yep.
1897, Castlegate, Utah. The gang robs a Pleasant Valley Coal Company payroll, stealing, again, I'm not sure if it's $88,001 or $8,000.
It looks like something happened.
They
something
like
through my
extra,
punctuation.
like the other one had $2 and $1.
We don't know. A lot of money.
88,000, but $88,001. There was
and
somebody,
$1.
And what have you got in your pocket? Oh, well,
Yep.
we got this silver dollar. Give
Took
it
it out of
here.
some old lady's purse.
Yep.
Yep. That's all she had. Pulled it right out of the bottom with the Kleenex.
1899, Wilcox, Wyoming. The Wild Bunch holds up a Union Pacific Railroad train using dynamite to blow open the safe and stealing between $30,000 and $60,000.
Wow. See, that one's okay. That one looks nice.
Now they're getting more into the
right. Do you remember that scene
range
where Robert Redford turns around? Now, here's a little story about Robert Redford. Steve, I was going to ask you, do you remember the Twilight Zone, his first gig, his first acting gig that I know of? Now, don't hold me to it. If I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. Somebody proves it to me. So Robert Redford was in a famous show, the Rod Serling run, The Twilight Zone. Do you remember the part he played?
I remember the part that he played.
There was an old woman. She was in several, I believe, of his Twilight Zones. And she was afraid to go outside because death was out there. And there was a blizzard. And she was inside. And she was like in a basement apartment in like New York or something. So everything is just gray. And, it's all concrete block kind of looking in the background and stuff. And there's a police officer outside that's trying to help her because I think... she was real cold and he was checking on her, or she had to leave because they were condemning the building, or for some reason she had to get up and get out and let somebody in. And it was a police officer and he was talking to her through the window, which I always thought was creepy because the little windows up there where the stairs come down to the basement apartment. And then he finally made it down to the door and he kept talking to her and convincing her he was deaf. That's right, Jim. And she let him in and she was just so scared. She knew it all along and she didn't want to let him in. And there he was. She let death in. And that was Robert Redford, a very young Robert Redford. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember it now that you talked about it.
Yep.
I'd forgotten about it.
Yep.
And on that amount there, that would be somewhere between $1 and $2 million in today's money. So that's a pretty good lick there with dynamite to blow open the safe.
Do you remember that scene?
Yep.
Where Robert Redford turns around and asks him. He said, "Did you use it? Do you think you used enough dynamite?" It was an iconic scene. You don't remember that one, D-Rock? It was good. Look up the. There it is, right there. It comes again.
Used enough dynamite.
Woo! Yep, it's a great movie. It really was.
Tipton, Wyoming. Another Union Pacific train robbery, netting the gang $55,000.
They were doing all right.
Over that $1 million mark.
They were doing all right.
You had to get to a point where, like, have we got enough money? But no, they just went. They found something they were good at, and they kept doing it.
They blew up another one. Well, they hit a lot of trains.
Great Northern Railway, Montana. The gang robs a train, though the exact amount stolen is unclear. That was probably for insurance purposes.
Yep. It took a lot. Enough to get you hookers and whiskey, I'm telling you. They didn't seem to save much. They did send some back to families.
In 1902, Fort Worth, Texas, the famous Fort Worth 5 photograph was taken, showing Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, and other gang members. And I bet Cisco has a facsimile of that.
I might have a reasonable facsimile thereof. That one there. Now look at how good they look. Yeah, that money will buy you some nice.
Money will buy you some nice clothes. Look at those derby hats that 4 out of the 5 are wearing there.
They were so happy.
That's Butch Cassidy there on the lower right.
Yep. And you can see his grin on his face. He's kind of
smirk there.
And there's Sundance. And I have another picture here with these fellows all named, so you'll know. But this here's the Wild Bunch, and they were all duded up for a couple of days, and they picked out. They used to bring a couple prostitutes with them. Of course, they went and visited all the towns and hooped it up, and they went through this money like nobody's business. But they did help out townspeople. They did help out people. They would do stuff like come by, and if their horse was tired, they'd leave their tired horse and take another one, but they'd come back, the old timers would say. And they would do stuff like the old lady, I heard a story this morning that was great. There was a lady, she was crying. I can't remember what town. Don't hold me to it. But she was all upset, and Butch heard her saying that she was going to lose her home over $1,000, back tax, whatever, mortgage, who knows. But the bank was leaning on her. And he said, well, don't worry about it. Just, don't worry a thing. I'll be right back. So he goes, he gets on his horse, takes off, comes back, brings her $1,000 cash, right? And hands it to her and says, now, make sure you get a receipt that says paid in full. And she said, all right, I will, and thanked him and hugged his neck and did all the, whatever. And so, so she pays the guy. And as he's leaving, Butch is waiting for him, steals back the money. He said he did that more than a dozen times.
I love that. And then he came back with dynamite and blew up the house.
Blew up the whole damn train. Isn't that a great pick, Cat?
It is. There we go. Kid Curry.
Yep.
I don't know who that one was there. I heard a lot about him.
Yep. You got Will Carver, Kid Curry, and Ben Kilpatrick. Now, Kid Curry comes up in a couple other stories later. You'll hear all these coming up in the stories. And there was more. There was a lot of interchangeables as well. These guys just happened to be there. But let me tell you something about the picture. The picture was taken, and I can't remember the photographer. You'll probably hear the story in one of these things I've got here tonight. But the photographer was so proud of how this picture came out, right? He puts it in the window, and a Pinkerton agent's going by and recognizes the grin on Butch Cassidy's face and says, let me get a copy of that picture there. And the guy said, well, we don't just, do just copies, that's going to cost you. And he said, no, you're going to give it to me. I'm a Pinkerton agent, and those are one in men. So this picture got him in a lot of trouble. And that was the main thing. They were always getting caught up and chasing. You think some of the places these guys hid out, how the hell anybody ever found them? I don't know. Because they're in hollers in Utah and Montana. And this
little side note there on Kid Curry. Real name is Harvey Logan. He has ties to my hometown, Knoxville, Tennessee. He broke out of jail there. He shot, I think, a couple of police officers or something.
Okay, yep.
Down on Central Avenue, Pike in Knoxville, Central Avenue, there used to be a nightclub. Now, remember Con Hunley?
I don't know the name,
singer,
honey.
the country singer. Anyway, there was a club there where he came from. Well, they had a clock up on the wall that Kid Curry put a bullet in, so they kept it in there.
Really?
But yeah,
How
little
cool.
room. So
I remember
Kid
hearing
Curry, he
about him
was all the
breaking
way
out.
down in Knoxville, Tennessee. Yeah, broke out of jail.
Wow. And now this is Etta, and you'll hear more about her. I really liked her story a lot. Nobody knows where she went or what. One of these robberies, I believe it was the one in Brazil. Or is it Bolivia? Am I getting my B's messed up?
Might have been Bolivia. That
I
sounds
think I'm
more
getting
familiar.
these backed up against each other somehow. But anyway, wherever it was, and you'll hear the correct stuff here in a minute. The rumor was that she might have gotten hit with a bullet, and once she took off and left, that was it. No, did she go somewhere? Did she, get hit and die and wind up getting buried? There's a lot of stories on her, just like there is them, and I think we've got a couple of definitive things for you to choose from at the end of the night. But this was a very interesting story, and her name isn't even Etta. It's spelled Etta on some stuff, Edda on some stuff, and I believe it's Eliza. But again, me and names, so you'll get the right stuff here in a minute. And she's a pretty girl. You want to grab that?
Legend, Butch and Sundance, noted throughout the West for their daring train, bank, and payroll heists, had a variety of female companions, but none quite as mysterious as the wild and sophisticated Etta Place.
That's her. And she's just as, hey, Ron, welcome in, baby.
Howdy, Ron. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, 1969 movie. The main cast: Paul Newman as Butch Cassidy, Robert Redford as the Sundance Kid, and Catherine Ross as Etta Place.
69. I couldn't believe it. I thought 75.
Yeah, I saw it, like I said, probably 73 or something. 69, I would have been in the first grade, and I know I wasn't going to no drive-in movies like that in the first grade. Fourth grade, maybe. And there's I got as close as I could. Yeah. It's reminiscent of BJ.
Isn't it lovely? I used to sing this with my mom all the time in the car.
Hearing that on AM radio. And it's just, here you go.
Bring back some memories here, guys.
Yeah.
Love this scene.
Especially the part
I loved her. I absolutely loved her.
Backwards and
Mario's met him at the race car driving. Yeah. Nice guy, really nice guy. Not a bad thing to say about him.
Terry Brown, he's met Paul Newman too.
Great guy. There they are trying to portray the pictures that where they went and had done. Now this is Etta outside of the little house here, and they stayed in so many different places that sometimes for quite a while. One popular theory is that Etta Place met Sundance at Fanny Porter's brothel in San Antonio, Texas. This establishment was a known hideout for members of the Wild Bunch, including Butch and Sundance Kid. They hung out in a lot of brothels, trust me. A lot of saloons, a lot of ranches. They did a lot of cattle driving and things. But the mystery of Etta continues. She's got so many people that she could be that I think she survived. I really do. And this is her later on. She's just gorgeous. I think she's just gorgeous. You want to grab that one?
Yeah, 1908. Aramayo Mine Payroll, Bolivia. Butch and Sundance robbed the payroll guards, leading to their final fateful encounter with Bolivian authorities. Or did they?
To meet me, won't be long. I love this scene. Isn't it? Like it so much I did it twice. Look at that knife. Now that's a knife. Look at Paul's face. Is that not great? Here's that scene where they jump off the cliff, dude. Remember, I'm scared of heights. And he just laughs and that's it. Just do it. They Thelma and Louised it. I'm going to watch that again. This makes me want to see that whole movie.
Yeah, I want to see the whole
Nothing's
thing now.
worrying me. It's good music too that I found. This is
Look at
them.
Butch Cassidy there. He's a likable little actor.
I know.
He just
I'd have
makes
hung
a
out
lot
with
of
him.
planes and trains.
I'd have hung out with them. Come on now. Like them bowler hats. Oh my goodness.
They're always worn at a jaunty angle there, too.
I mean, that's a hell of a picture. I mean, doing this picture, I was really surprised that there was so much controversy when they're trying to pick the two. They had Paul Newman and they wanted Steve McQueen. But Steve McQueen and Paul Newman had the same agent. And they sat and argued and argued and argued, the agent, over who was going to get top billing. So that didn't work out. Steve McQueen took something else. Can you believe it? Who was going to get top billing? So they did that, and then they did some other, and the guy, the director, was saying that, there's so many people out there to pick from. He's like, Warren Beatty, he's just rolling off all of these different names, and I'm trying to picture them in that spot. I could almost see Steve McQueen, but I don't know that Steve McQueen and Paul Newman would have played off him, that much. And he says, and then there was this kid that was out there, Robert Redford. He hadn't done much. And we thought we'd give him a shot. And we put him together and ran some tests, and the chemistry was there. You have to admit the chemistry was there, all three of them, Catherine Ross and all of it. It really was great. And so if you haven't seen it, go see it. I had to throw a couple things in there. That's what I was able to do today. But I'll tell you what, when we get to one of these things, Steve, and I know he'll agree with me, there's one expert that I like to turn to that pretty much can sort this stuff better than anybody else.
Nobody can rock a turtleneck and a jacket, sword jacket.
Nobody. So we just go straight to the source right here. When we're going in search of something, we know who to go to. And it's this guy right here.
South America, 1909. According to this famous film, a gun battle claims the life of Butch Cassidy.
I love this shit, Steve. I love it so much. If the film
version is right, who was the mysterious stranger who appeared on a Wyoming road 15 years later? A mysterious stranger who bore a strong resemblance to Butch Cassidy.
Yep. Can you hear it good? 5-5.
Much has been recorded of the life of Butch Cassidy, how he rode the outlaw trail with the notorious Wild Bunch. But mystery still surrounds his death.
The movie was like 5-6 years old by now.
Those who've kept their silence for years are ready to reveal the true ending to this remarkable story.
Here we go. Fake us there, Leonard Nimoy.
This series presents information based in part on theory and conjecture. The producer's purpose is to suggest some possible explanation, but not necessarily the only ones, to the mysteries we will examine.
The vast panorama of the American West has always bred large legends. Tall tales abound of outlaws and lawmen who rode into history across the open landscape. Among them, Billy the Kid, Pat Garrett, Cherokee Bill, John Wesley Hardin, Wyatt Earp, and Blackjack Ketchum. Time and distance have clouded the truth.
Amazing.
But one thing is certain. Few on either side of the law would venture here unless they knew the country well or had good reason to hide. It is August 13th, 1897. Bank robbery is not an unusual occurrence here. But these are no ordinary bank robbers. Known for their speed and daring, they're called the Wild Bunch.
I love them. Horses, gosh, I love them.
Leading them is Butch Cassidy. He has herded cattle here and knows every canyon and mesa. For Butch, it was a short step from rounding up strays to rustling and then to robbing. A stretch in jail for a minor offense has settled the direction his life will take. A life he will one day admit was wasted and hurtful to those he loved the most. Butch becomes master of the fast getaway. Relays of horses have been staked out before the job. On fresh mounts, the wild bunch can outdistance any posse. In this way, they have robbed bank after bank over a wide area of the West.
That's how you do it.
Montpelier, Idaho, Winnemucca, Nevada, Telluride, and Denver, Colorado. 16,000, 17,000, 21,000, $30,000. The separate hauls added up to more than $200,000. By morning, the outlaws have left their pursuers miles behind. Expert horsemen, they climb the ridges into one of their several hideouts, the notorious hole in the wall, or the rugged area known as Robber's Roost.
Look at this place, Steve.
Here, safe from pursuit, a few men could hold off an army. They will rest up for the next job, confident that no lawman will follow them here. These rugged...
Just want to stop this for a second so I can tell you. I saw another video where they talk about this place, the hole in the wall. I mean, it looks like somebody just took a big old scoop out of the center of a mountain, and you go down just like a big bowl, and you could see what was going on. And I'm thinking, why would I go down in here? Because I'm thinking right away of what happened in the Civil War, like twice that happened to soldiers getting trapped in there. But the thing is you had to go up it. It was almost like a castle on a fortress where you could see down from all angles. So I'm like, okay, well, that makes a little sense, but still you're in that bowl. It's kind of creepy. But how they find these people, I have no idea. They must have just looked for the dust clouds from all the horses and stirring around or something. I don't know, the smoke from the fire. I have no idea how they would see anybody here without drones and helicopters. I have no clue, but wow, what a place. Our friend Dan Baldwin lives out here at Superstition Mountains and all that. He walks around out here at his age and walks circles around me. It's amazing.
Good areas of Wyoming and Utah became fortress sanctuaries. Not only did bandits join Cassidy's gang, there were men who turned to rustling because they felt their independence was threatened by big cattle outfits crowding them off the public range. Into hidden canyons went stolen cattle, security against the excesses of the big ranchers. Butch Cassidy became a legend not only because of the mystery surrounding his death, but because his special character inspired a comparison to Robin Hood. During his career as an outlaw, a fortune in gold passed through his hands, but he seldom held on to much of it for very long. He seemed to delight in the chase more than the rewards. He gave money to ranchers and townspeople who were in need, and they, in turn, helped him with their silence. Today, ranchers in the area feel that Butch was one of them. An expert cowhand between robberies, he was respected for his hard work and skill. They don't condone what Butch did, but with their own independence threatened today by big mining interests, they understand some of the forces that drove him.
And I found out later that it was Butch. So I worked with his brother right here. His brother Joe, him and I herded cattle together. They wasn't killed in South America, I know that.
Our search for where and when Butch did die took us to the remote Wyoming town of Baggs. Galloping down Main Street, guns blazing, they headed for the Bulldog Saloon, where they would cut the road dust out of their dry throats with strong whiskey. Restored, they would roust out Tom Vernon, who played fiddle and owned the local hotel. Then, rounding up the available ladies, they would dance all night. Sheriff Ross Moore, today's successor to frontier lawman, sums up his town's attitude.
People around here thought old Butch was all right. He was a real nice fella, as far as they was concerned. He never done anything to anybody, and he always treated them right and never cheated them.
Even though they were outlaws, these people on Snake River would do about anything for them.
They'd stop at your place if you had a saddle horse, and their horse was tired. They'd take your horse and leave their tired horse and go on, but they'd always come back. And they never did anything wrong because they knew that if they rode in to this country, they could get a place to stay all night or a fresh horse. He was a good-hearted old feller. He wouldn't kill you. He'd just steal your money.
They was good to these people on Snake River. But money in here, you know.
Damn it, they was all good guys.
For the most part, outlawing was hard and dangerous work. As an outlaw's reputation grew, so did the odds of getting caught. Alan Pinkerton's powerful detective agency assigned famed manhunter Charlie Siringo to take on the Wild Bunch. Though only 5 feet tall, Siringo could rope, tie, and ride with the best of them. Having spent a lifetime on the Western Range, he was well equipped to track his quarry. The Wild Bunch reacted to this pressure by moving into another lucrative field, train robbing. With Butch's masterminding, they continued to prosper. The Denver and Rio Grande Railway, $8,000. The Colorado and Southern, $45,000. The Union Pacific, $55,000. The Union Pacific responded by forming a special train-borne posse, transporting horses in a baggage car. About this time, Butch started working more closely with Harvey Longabout, known as the Sundance Kid. They shared a wry sense of humor. One day, after a particularly good haul, Butch and Sundance posed for a family portrait with the rest of the gang. It was a joke that would backfire and force them to flee the country. Sporting store-bought clothes and new derbies were Cool Killer Harvey Logan, Polecat Bill Carver, and Butch's pal, Sundance. Butch could barely suppress a grin at what he thought was a private joke. However, the proud photographer displayed the picture in his window, where it was spotted the next day by an amazed but delighted Pinkerton detective, who spread the alarm. Hearing this, and sensing their luck had run out, the bandits bought tickets on the very trains they once robbed. An elegantly attired trio, Butch, Sundance, and his girl, the beautiful Etta Place, headed for South America by way of New York. The big city in 1902 must have been a dazzling sight to these now rich but still countrified Westerners. They mingled with the elite on Fifth Avenue, and Sundance and Etta had their portraits taken at a fashionable salon. With queenly grace, Etta proudly displayed a new and expensive gold watch. A few weeks later, the trio sailed for South America. In Argentina, they worked as cattlemen until they were tracked down by a Pinkerton detective. Once more on the run, they returned to a life of crime throughout Chile, Bolivia, and Uruguay. In 1909, the story got out that Butch and Sundance were dead, killed in a gunfight in Mercedes, Uruguay. The Pinkerton agency eagerly accepted the story and closed the files on an old and frustrating case. But our research in Mercedes revealed no evidence that such a gunfight ever took place. Butch and Sundance's death a hoax? Perhaps still another way to outdistance pursuers? One day in 1924, 15 years after the alleged gunfight, a lone figure was seen driving up a Wyoming road. As he came closer, he seemed somehow familiar. Could it have been Butch Cassidy returning home after all those years? Many believe Butch Cassidy returned long after he was supposed to have died in a South American gunfight.
Old Butch wasn't killed in South America. He come back here in 24, and my grandmother seen him and talked to him. So I know he was here. He stayed a day and a half and then left, but he was here and talked to everybody.
He come back from there and went down in Utah. He stopped in Bags one night.
He went up to some of these old places and visited before he left. So I know he's here in 24.
One can only imagine what might have gone through his mind if he had revisited the places of his raucous youth. Most of his companions were gone. Harvey Logan, dead in a gunfight with a posse. Ben Kilpatrick, killed attempting to rob a train. Bill Carver, outdrawn by a sheriff in Texas. And the ladies who danced had vanished or settled down. Only memories remained.
Hear that? Oh, piano.
The memories live on in Bags. Recollections of those still alive who remember Butch's nostalgic homecoming.
There's so much out now about this.
On the outskirts of town lives a man who was a contemporary of Butch Cassidy's. Now, Alfred Brazel is surrounded by his animals and his memories.
God bless him. Look at his goat. He's got a goat. Looks like the Gordon fisherman.
The dates he gives might be questioned, but he is positive about what he saw.
He was not killed because in 1916, as sure as I ever stand right here, that I seen him right here in this store. I seen him with my own eyes. Now, Butch had 3 pack horses and 1 saddle horse. They were tied right out right at the side of the store. And he said, Ed, but I want you to go and get me 3 or 4 quarts of whiskey. Ed says, why don't you do it? No, he said, I want you to go get it. And Ed only had to just step out at the door and go about 50 feet to the saloon. I'd seen him before. It wasn't the first time I'd seen Butch.
You gotta love him. I believe
Author
him.
historian John Rolfe Burroughs has interviewed others who were even closer to Butch.
I came through here in 1959 researching a story on the Wild Bunch. Among other people I talked to was Tom Vernon. Tom at that time was 80 years of age, but his mind was just as clear as a bell. And among other comments I have to make at that time was that I had read an article by Arthur Chapman to the effect that Butch Cassidy had been killed in Bolivia, in South America. Tom looked me in the eye and he said, killed in Bolivia? He said, Butch came through here in the early 20s and stayed with me 2 days. We talked over the old times, said there's no mistake. I knew every one of the Wild Bunch well.
Now an expert historian has found evidence placing Butch Cassidy in this building in the early 1920s.
This is a great building, Steve. Look at that building. Did you see it?
John Burroughs has still more support.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I met a man in Rock Springs by the name of John Taylor, who had known Butch Cassidy when Butch Cassidy worked in the butcher shop in Rock Springs, and that's where Butch incidentally got his nickname. Mr. Taylor owned the Ford agency in Rock Springs, and he said one day he was out in the shop, and here came a Model T, and it was Butch Cassidy. This was in the early 1920s.
Look at that fence. How dry it is. So dry. Oh my God. So dusty.
He said Butch didn't recognize him and didn't say anything, but he said there was no mistake, that he knew him well. Another person who saw Butch after he returned from Bolivia, who knew him very well, was Josephine Bassett Morris. She was his girlfriend.
In an old log cabin where she lived alone, Josephine Bassett talked with Burroughs in 1965.
Wow.
Still showing signs of the beautiful girl she had been, Josephine told him that one night in the early 1920s in Rock Springs, Wyoming, Butch and his old friend Elza Lay knocked on her door.
Wow. Wow.
And Josie told me, he said they were both a little out of condition, but we sat around and had a few drinks and reminisced about the old times.
Josephine said that was the last time she saw Butch alive.
Wow. Wow.
We had one more important stop to make, 300 miles away. In southwest Utah is the wild and beautiful country where Butch spent his childhood, where he learned to ride, where he roamed free, when his name was still Robert Leroy Parker, and he lived on the ranch his father homesteaded near Circleville. Lula Parker Bettinson, Butch's 93-year-old sister, remembers.
When Butch came home, he went straight to the ranch, up at the Parker Ranch, because he thought we lived there.
Look at
That's
that
how
cabin.
he wandered around. He loved the place.
Isn't that something?
Grown up there, and he was happy there.
The whole family would live in that one little house. Your dog looks scared. I wouldn't go in there. Doesn't he look apprehensive?
Disappointed to find no one there. He came to town.
Well, yeah, Butch, it doesn't look like anybody's lived there for quite a while.
Hoping to see his aging father once more, Butch picked up his brother Mark and drove to the Parker house in town. His father and Lula came to the door.
When Butch drove into the yard, he and Mark got out of the car and walked over to the house. First, of course, he was a stranger. He just thought somebody come home with the boys. But as they looked at each other and got closer, they knew each other. And what a greeting it was to have him home again. When I first saw Butch, I looked at him and I thought, oh, he belongs here. He's ours, he must be, you know. And yet I didn't know. And my father said to me, he said, I'll bet you don't know who this is. He said, this is your brother, Robert Leroy. And of course, then it was just really, but I felt like my feet, I couldn't stand. I was shocked, you know, in a way. So I didn't have it very long because he's so warm and so wonderful. And was so tickled to see me that it all turned out just right. When he came home, he could talk of nothing but Mother. No matter what we would be talking about, he would go back to her. He felt so terrible because he felt that he'd hurt her so badly. And he really did. And he felt it. He couldn't live it down. He said it was his heartache. And my father said to him, he said, you know, my boy, he said, you could have been most anything. He said, I know. And all I've done is make a wreck of my life. He wasn't a bit happy. I think he paid the debt over and over for what he done. Butch died in 1937 in the Northwest. And where he is buried, that is our secret. We do not tell it. My father gave us to understand when the word came of his death that there would never be told because they had chased him. He said they have chased him all his life and now he's going to rest in peace. No matter what, I would never tell it.
I got no problem believing her.
It's like she knows what she's talking about.
I mean, the detail.
There are many theories about Butch's later years. In Billings, Montana, author Larry Pointer, after years of study, believes that this man, William T. Phillips, who moved to Spokane, Washington a year after Butch's supposed death, is Butch Cassidy. And the resemblance is remarkable. Phillips died in the Northwest in 1937, and his ashes were scattered over the Spokane River. An added irony is that for years, Phillips tried to sell the Butch Cassidy story to Hollywood. There were no takers. And what of Sundance and Etta? They seem to have disappeared completely from history. Only the legend remains. But legends die hard. We usually believe what we want to believe. Somehow we prefer to see Butch young and vigorous, falling in South America with guns blazing, rather than living out a mundane life. But wherever or whenever Robert Leroy Parker died, in our minds, he lives on as Butch Cassidy.
There you go, folks. There you go.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing.
I tend to believe their research. I want to believe their research, in other words.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you take everything that we just heard, lay it on the table. That's my new thing. Just put it on the table. Just put it on the table. We don't know if we need it. It's like when you're doing a puzzle, but the kids have got a hold of it. You're not sure if all this is the same puzzle. It might be 2 or 3 mixed in there together, and you got to sort it. And that's how I look at mysteries. You never know what you're going to need. So just put it on the table. Let's take a minute and look at it, And I love these because when Steve and I get together sometimes and we'll look at something, again, I bring this up all the time, but it just absolutely vexes me. Okay. And I'll bring it up again, the picnic table. In Bigfoot in Sepia, years ago, we did, and I found an old, Peter Graves, and his, again, cleared to wear turtlenecks, and I believe suede, if I remember correctly, and stood corduroy there, and corduroy and suede. Maybe it was a combo. He was a big deal, and him and his James Arnezz's brother, who was was he Marshall Dillon? What was he? James Dillon, right?
James Arnez was Marshall Matt Dillon on Gunsmoke.
Thank you so much. So, anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Oh, the picnic table. So you've got all these guys around the picnic table, and every single damn one of them has got 25 years, 20 years experience, and I'm not making this up. Steve can back me. If you were here, you can back me as well. If you recall the show, and they were all talking about their experience, extensive. I tell you, experience. Many of them, heard around talk around the water cooler back in the day in their time. And they're talking about all this evidence and all of this stuff that they have on Bigfoot and in their travels and their own experience. And at that table, you had about 125, I think we said 130 years experience sitting around that table. And then that's done in 73. So now you're going back to 60s, 50s, in some cases 45 after the war. And they had same damn evidence we have today. You could literally interchange, lay parallel on top of each other, and take today's evidence and today's information, with some exceptions, of course, and lay it on top, and it would very much match. So what are we doing? And it's the same with this. We can look back at Leonard Nimoy. What did they have in 76? Again, it's closer. There's still some people alive, as you saw. They could get some interviews from his youngest sister. I think there was 12, 13, 15, 20 kids. I can't remember how many. But he was like up in the older age, and then he had some younger ones. And, when he's doing all this back and forth, when he's robbing trains and things, he would come back and give them money, and he took care of his towns that you heard that, where he would go and people would recognize him. It might be 10 years, but look at these towns. You're going to remember when a Model T comes rolling up and it's got somebody famous in a bowler hat with flashing a lot of money. You're going to remember it. It's a thing, right, Steve? It's like having the circus coming to town or something. You know what I mean? Though it's imprinted because it's different. It's special. Welcome, Carpenter. How you doing? So, that's my thought anyway. You're getting this from, I think it's 76 that this one was released. I don't know. There's a couple seasons of In Search Of, so don't hold me to it. So that evidence I think is very good. Now, since then, unlike, like I said, very much like the Bigfoot stuff, we've added on some things because technical stuff, just like our last week with DB Cooper, Steve, what told the story? The stinking tie with the mother of pearl clip on DB Cooper told the tale. that guy, it sounds like listening to his evidence about, the titanium whatnot that was found on the tie after the analysis. And then that matched up to another metal that was just as rare. And there was only one place that those two metals were being used together. Now, how he talk about your research and your digging and your golden shovel and digging up research. But last week he sat here and he told you from his own mouth, that's why I let it play. You could hear, the extensive way they went backtracked. They reverse engineered DB Cooper and went right into where there was 8 guys working, messing with these two metals. They wore ties. One of them was missing, and it was this guy that looked just like DB Cooper. If that's not final analysis, I don't know what is. But that was time that did that, and people that stayed in this and kept it alive, like a cold case, right? Steve does it all the time. If you don't keep the cold cases warm, they will go cold, and they'll go off into, outer space, and where cases disappear off to the no longer matter category, or whatever you want to call it. And that's just sad. And that's why we do, try to do what we can do, at least put the truth out there. So now we have a little bit more. So that's 76 to now. It's quite the haul. I hate to say it, I was there. And now we've got a little bit more. So here's a real quick little ditty. I think this is it. Is this the one? Okay. So like last week, again, these little local places, like it might be an author local in, downtown Denver, Colorado, or something, writes a book because he found evidence. I recall one, Steve, and I think it was Unsolved Mysteries, something along those lines, where a guy found a photograph, the story, attic, crate, something, finds a photograph, and it's verified one of these outlaws. I don't think it was Butch Cassidy, though. I think it was Billy the Kid, and he was going through a whole lot of rigmarole to get the picture verified and checked through, and uphill one side and down the other, and it was a big deal. Somebody will write a book like Dr. Epperly and spend a whole lifetime studying something and put out some really good information. So these things happen over time, in this case, many decades. This one, I believe, is an author in a town that found some information, and it's one of those little news clips that can be so valuable in the local towns that we miss unless we go around and dig. So, Steve, I got this real quick one. I think it's about 3 minutes. All right. Whoops, wait a minute. I'm in the wrong. Ooh, I hit the wrong button. That could be dangerous. Where has Ted been? Has anybody seen Ted? Is he okay? He's probably getting up early. He's got one of those early shifts. You're
saw
muted.
him the other night over on Police Show. That was Saturday night, I think.
All right, babe. Well, if anybody sees him, tell him we're thinking of him. I think this is the correct order. Let's see. Yeah, it is. Okay, here we go.
A famous outlaw may have died here in Salt Lake City, and his partner, who was born in Beaver, also lived beyond previously thought.
That's the discovery of a local author who claimed Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid didn't die in South America in a shootout with the Bolivian army. For every crime, there's a story, and the truth matters. Here's ABC4's Marcos Ortiz with tonight's Justice Files.
Years of research led Dr. Steve Lacey to write this book. He says many of the things we've come to believe about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid just aren't.
Because I liked the picture and I thought it was unique. Had no idea who they were.
In 1961, Dr. Steve Lacey had no idea he was looking at Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He was writing a school paper and received photos of the famous outlaws. And thus began his lifelong fascination with the two notorious men.
And later on, I found out that Butch was my distant cousin and that my grandfather had a run-in with the Sundance Kid.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid were brought to life in the 1969 movie named after them. It starred Robert Redford as the Sundance Kid and Paul Newman as Butch Cassidy. But the movie was loose on facts, including their deaths during a shootout with the Bolivian army.
There was no official identification of the men that were killed.
Butch Cassidy's real name was Robert Leroy Parker. He was born in Beaver, and the family later moved to a small farm near Circleville. He met Sundance Kid, whose birth name was Harry Longabaugh, in the late 1800s in Colorado. Lacey claims the two men never robbed banks together while in the U.S., but fled to South America pursuing new opportunities.
They tried to go straight, but right at the beginning, Sundance decided that he wanted to start robbing again, but they didn't do too many robberies down in South America.
The result of Lacey's research is found in his new book, Last of the Bandit Riders, Revisited Again. It's based on numerous interviews, letters, and documents. He based his findings from personal interviews with Joyce Warner, the daughter of another famous Utah outlaw, Matt Warner of Carbon County. At the time, Warner was part of a group that included Butch Cassidy, and they robbed banks in Colorado.
Matt Warner is the one that made Butch Cassidy famous.
In 1939, a man named Frank Irvin visited Joyce Warner in Price. According to Lacey, Irvin was the new name Butch Cassidy had taken after leaving South America.
Matt had told Joyce stories about Butch that he didn't put in the book. And they shared those stories back and forth for that day, November 21st, 1939. And she knew right away that he was Butch.
Lacey said Irvin, otherwise known as Butch Cassidy, worked in various jobs throughout the West, but never robbed another bank. He died in Fresno, California. Now, tomorrow, as we continue this story, the Sundance Kid, according to Lacey, is actually buried here in Salt Lake City, not South America. For the Justice Files, Marcus Ortiz, ABC4 News.
The plot thickens.
How about that, right?
Yeah.
So again, I'm reading in the comments and the chats. We're talking about journals and diaries, letters, people that have grown up and tell the tale. There's a couple of them. I find that when you get in the more notorious ones that are really known for a lot of killing and stuff like that, like your Bonnie and Clyde's, because we've dug into all of them, haven't we, Steve? I mean, you'd be hard pressed. Believe me, because I'm thinking, nope, we did that. Nope, we did that. Nope, we did that. After years and years, it's hard to find stuff that, believe me, there's always more crime and more bandits out there. But anyhow, when you dig down with a Bonnie and Clyde, I found it interesting that the gentleman in Search Of was talking about he got arrested. Butch got arrested early, and it kind of set his course for his life. The same thing happened to Clyde. Again, the times, your atmosphere, the culture, what's going on, your family life, the whole thing. Of course, the Depression pushed out a lot of crime and things like that too, but they look like they're living in desolate places. I mean, these like Utah, Montana at the time, it looked so dry. I think anything that's that dry and dusty, you're going to get pissed off most of the time. Yeah. It's just it wears on your stuff. But now everything is peeling off, and you're starting to find these authors that are writing books that went and talked to these people and gathered the letters and read the journals and did the things, and you're getting more and more. And I think it's interesting, like Leonard said, of course, I'm paraphrasing here. He said, most people want to believe that they died in a hail of bullets coming in Bolivia, and that's how they ended it, not lived, went home and wound up living a mundane life and maybe had a family and kids. And I'm like, that's such an odd concept to think about. But in some cases, I would imagine some people being disappointed in that. And like, well, but I'm not. I'm like, I'm so glad they made it, because again, they did have some remorse. They weren't rotten, horrible people, these guys. These were a little different. Again, I'm not making excuses for what they did, but they weren't the kind to go through and rape and pillage and, shoot people in the head for no reason, like Wesley Harding, shooting a man just for snoring. Remember that from the Lifetime book series and all that stuff. Love those. Those were great. They did a whole paranormal thing. I'd love to get my hands on that. Wasn't it like 20 books that come to you in 4 easy payments?
I had those. I had the Western ones too. But
did you? Oh man, I'd love to. Yeah, they were great. We're kind of like put out almost like it's like the Lifetime, I think was.
Yeah, they send you a book every month or every 3 weeks or something.
4 easy payments, and you could join the Book of the Month Club, whatever it was. Yep. It was kind of like the albums. I miss those too. You used to get to pull out the the stamps. They had them all perforated, and you could lick and stick and put it on the
Columbia House.
pick the 14, 15 albums for free. What was the deal?
Yeah,
you paid the
like
shipping and handling
12 for a penny, and then you had to agree to buy 4 more albums in the coming year at regular club prices.
Yep. You think, well, hell, that's easy enough. I can do that. And you get yourself all involved. It's always a mess getting out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had all kinds of stuff
I probably
like that.
still owe Columbia House money over that.
I bet. You try to figure out ways to get around it. But we had to go through it. Nowadays, kids just push a button and hear a song,
Yeah.
We had to buy a whole damn album usually of shitty freaking music to hear one damn song that by the time we saved up enough money and babysitting money, paper routes, and working at the lemonade stand or whatever the hell we were doing when we were kids, put together to buy an album. We didn't like the damn song anymore, and we're stuck with all these other freaking shitty songs. We went through hell, folks. Then they kept changing stuff on it. They went from little bitty records to, in my time anyway. Now my mom's going back. If I had my mom's in, they were real thick, 33 and a third with Firehouse 5 and stuff like that. I know because she had them, and they were thick vinyl. You know what I mean? And heavy. And but it had the little hole in it. And then we got the 45s, had a big hole. So then you had to go buy the adapter. That's when it all started. When you had to go buy that adapter to put on your spindle, so your record player would play the 45s. They knew they had us. They kept going. They've been going ever since.
And then they had 8-track tapes, and then cassette tapes, and then CDs, and then
reel to reel.
Always
reel
something.
to reel.
Yeah, reel to reel. I had a reel to reel too. Didn't get too involved in that, but I had an 8-track player when I was in high school.
Hell yeah, I can still remember songs. I could still hear songs if I hear an old song.
And
I only had very few 8-tracks. I only had very few because, like I said, I was a kid. Where are you getting money? I've been working since I was 13, but I'm talking about when I was like 10. So we had a couple of 8-tracks. I think Seals and Crofts, I know damn well, was one of them. So every time I hear, I think it was a Diamond Girl.
Yeah.
I can still hear that in the back of my head, even though it's been decades. You know
when it's going to change.
Yeah, because it would kick and it would cut. Sometimes I don't know. It was wild to go through that. It didn't last very long, I don't think. Cassettes kicked right in after that. And then they started that whole nonsense with the beta and the VCR, and some went and got the beta and they got really stuck because that was coming over, I think, from overseas across the pond.
And beta was a better format than VHS, but for whatever reason, VHS was the one that
didn't take off. I think it was bigger across the pond, but I'm no expert.
Yeah.
But then that came, and then they started this game nonsense, and then all hell broke loose.
Yep.
I mean, all hell broke loose. They went from Atari, a couple of paddles and a ball, to hands that reach right out and smack you across the face. I can't believe how realistic this stuff is. It's, they've gone way past simulation. They're creating worlds out there. Maybe that's what's doing the portals, Steve. I had to tell Steve last week, I'm pulling up articles that in the Pine Barrens portals are opening up. I'm hearing people, I can't find anything on it. It's so hidden and deep down dug. You got people missing like crazy, showing up where they already searched, Steve. You know the story. 200 yards, I read the articles, 200 yards away from where they lived, was it not? Am I correct in that? About 200 yards?
That's right.
And not too far from the RV that they took off on like they did every night. And here's this old couple that everybody loved. They weren't, cooking meth in the cow barn or doing anything else or gypping people or heavy debtors or, shooting cans off the porch. These were normal people that went out for some reason, did something strange, and that was to go ride around an RV in the Pine Barrens every night, or every other night. I don't know what the ritual was. They did it often. And turned up missing, didn't tell nobody where they were going. Typical story, Steve. Because they were together. They had a buddy system. So we know buddy system doesn't work. Whatever zapped them up and threw them down where other people had already been walking and looking for them for a month.
Yeah.
Something evil got a hold of them, and it wasn't a Jersey devil. I'm just not one of those people. There's something out there. Look, we got a lot of devils in Jersey. We ain't got to, it might be a legend, but that one I don't hang my hat on too often. So I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It's just not in my absolutely positive. I believe dogmen, Bigfoot, aliens,
There's everything
murderers,
out there.
hitmen, dead bodies, even the pumpkin head thing, or all that other stuff. Yeah, all that's out there. Gremlins, brushy monsters. But if there was one, I just can't understand. If there wasn't another one to breed with, and this is from, when did the origin of that story start, Steve? 1600, 1700? I don't even know.
Jersey Devil was a long time ago.
Long time ago. What's it breeding with? A Chihuahua? Or is it an eternal being? Is it an ancient being and it started out as a baby and then flew up the fireplace and flew off and took care of itself in the Pine Barrens? The Pine Barrens. I don't know. Somebody's going to have to show me something. All right. We got one last
Mother
thing.
Leeds, 13th child, 1735.
Say it again, honey.
It was Mother Leeds, 13th child. That was
That's
the origin of the Pine Barren.
That's it.
1735.
17. Okay. So what's this thing eating? People? Now look, I'd buy that. People go missing. All right. I'm tracking you. What's it breeding with? Is it does it have eternal life and it just goes on and on forever? I don't understand it, and I'm thinking there's so much other evil stuff out there. Yeah. That's why we got a guy in a naked guy in a clown mask and tube socks walking around out there
in a briar patch.
Picking his way through the briar patches in the Pine Barrens, and people missing, and
somebody
portals opening.
Found a fresh pizza still in the box in the Pine Barren. That's like bait. That's something putting that out there, like, oh, look, pizza. And then something grabs it, and then it gets you. It grabs you if you grab the pizza, I guess. I don't know. There's other cases I covered where the lady was lost in the woods and there was like snacks in the trees and stuff,
like they're using it for bait. That pizza that was fresh, it's not steam coming off of it.
Peanut butter is sitting up in the trees, and oh, look, a bag of peanuts. I ain't climbing up there to grab that.
This week, some of the articles. Now, I couldn't stop and go. I'll be honest, I couldn't stop and research as deep as I should have, probably. And it's like one of those things. Like, why didn't you take pictures when you saw this stuff? This stuff was popping up everywhere. It's popping up on my computer. It's popping up on my phone. It's just weird. It's like it hears me talking about it, I guess, and all these articles pop up and videos. I caught a couple of them. One guy was, an old guy, like almost like what was the guy in Jaws' name? Was it Flint? The one that got ate by the shark that owned the boat, scratched the thing and ate the cracker?
Flint. I don't remember.
Something like that. You know who I mean? It's similar to him, only skinnier. And it's like he doesn't say very much, so you take what he says seriously. And he says, look, I can't tell you much about them portals up in the Pine Barrens now. But I will tell you this, if I went up there, took my family up there, or just out there messing around and hunting, I wouldn't go leaning on no trees because you ain't coming back. And it cut off. And I'm like, what? And I couldn't find it again. And I was researching for other stuff, and I was busy, and I was trying to get it in with work and everything. I didn't have time. So I'll see what I can find about that. But I'm telling you, I'm digging in this. I just sent Steve an article, and I couldn't think of anybody better to send it to. We have got a situation going on here in New Jersey. There's a lot of missing people popping up. So I sent it to
Steve. In the Pine Barrens, huh?
Yeah, and it's not just there; it's out a little bit more into all the ones they named after the Indians: the Manahawkins, the Manalokins, trust me, the Winnebagas. It's all out there, but it's serious stuff. So I sent it to Steve because I figured him and Nick can look into it and get the facts, because I don't like to mess with that. Families are going through a lot of grief, and I can't imagine. I've had people in my family go missing for long periods of time. And I can tell you, it's an ache in the center of your core that just never goes away. And, so I sent it to Steve and Nick, and, it's theirs now. I don't want to tell it. If they find anything, I'm sure they'll bring it forward. Right.
Yeah.
There you go. So before we settled into, I got a little surprise to get us out of here. But I just wanted to touch on this for just a second. And if I could go over here real quick, because I just think, whoop, wrong one. I'm in the wrong one. That's not it. There we go. All right. So I just wanted to tell you here, this was on True West's website, The Mysterious Etta Place. And it is put out in October of 2018 by Mr. Trimble here. So it just has a little bit, and I'm going to read it to you. The enigmatic Etta, and her name was Ethel. And they say that for some reason out there was Spanish or that strain of Spanish, Ethel was Etta in that language. So that's probably partially how she got it, or she just had an alias like everybody else. I don't know why they make a big deal, but it does help you in the research if you're trying to see where she went. And I think she survived too. It's one of the Old West's most enthralling mysteries. We know from her photo she was a beautiful, intelligent-looking woman. According to an author, Donna Erst, her name was Ethel. There's almost nothing about the real Etta, other than a few years she was associated with the Wild Bunch. About the only thing we know, she was probably from Texas. It's unlikely Etta, Ethel, or Place is her real name. Harry Sundance Kid Longabaugh biographer Ed Kirby believes, but she might have been the daughter of Emily Jane Place and related to Longbaugh's mother, Annie Place. So this article right here, if you are interested in, looking into seeing where she went, there is a long story that she went back, might have had a little money, and I can't imagine where she got that from, and opened her own brothel. And made it the prestige brothel in that town that had ever seen in the city she put it in. And she was very big on the care of all the girls, all the women. And they had high standards, and they had to, they had new clothes and new stuff. She was something else. So it's highly, if you're interested in her at all and you want to carry on this mystery, I would check it out, because it's a neat story. And there's about 3 of them that are highly possible with her, but she's like a whole nother episode, because there's a lot of proof in every direction, so you don't know where to go. In the little video I did, I put some of the pictures that they said, and when I laid them all out, put them on the table, like I said, they all look like her. The eyes, the bone structure in the face, the way the eyebrows set, the hairline, the jaw, all of it, they all look like her. So, maybe all the stories are true, or it's like those kind of stories that they're all kind of really true, but she had to keep changing her name, or they got the name wrong. So it's a lot of digging, but it's an interesting mystery. So I think Etta needs her own show. What do you think, Steve? What do you think happened to Butch Cassidy and Sundance? Did they make it?
I like to believe that they made it, and that was just,
me too,
folklore, folktale, or that was something they arranged. They paid the Bolivians, like, here's some money that we stole from you back, but tell everybody that you killed us in a shootout.
I'm sorry.
And then
I'm trying the little square. I'll never get used to being able to do that.
Back and live their life quietly with millions of dollars. And that was just the thing. They didn't steal from ordinary people, everyday people.
Right.
They stole from banks, which was
or borrowed a horse, or
stole the
paid
stagecoach or the payroll. They stole from the robber barons. They robbed the robber barons. So there you go.
Yep. Paid off people's mortgage and hit the landlord over the head and took it back, and stole a horse but left theirs. That kind of thing. They go around and you do all kinds of stuff like that. But there is so much evidence that they made it. I was really pleased. That's why I showed that piece there in the news. But there's a lot on the interwebs. Again, a little bit more on Sundance, and a little bit more proof, and where he's buried. And there's daughters of grandmas that are coming out and telling it, and having little really nice. If I'd had more time, I would have grabbed it, but. Almost like these little town halls where she put a rocking chair on the stage next to a little nightstand with little flowers in a vase and a microphone. And she just told the day that Butch Cassidy came home and what happened with Sundance and everything. And she said, there, I've told it, So again, and it's the same that we heard here tonight, but just another angle, and it all comes back to the same thing. I think they made it. So, I thought we would revisit this young man. I hadn't looked back at his site for a little bit, and I wanted to leave tonight with a little bit of laughs because I think, the more laughter and light we put out in the world. Now, I'll tell you what, we get there going into some dark places. So if you got any youngins in the room, or your dog doesn't like a good cussing, if perhaps you've got you got grandmas that watching with you or something like that, and she might be a little tenderhearted, we don't want to offend anybody tonight. These are not my covers. They're not my book covers. I remember having some of these books as a child. I'm sure Steve will too. But this is from our friend over on Facebook and Instagram, Your Childhood Ruined. I have no idea who this guy is, but I think he's gotten a little bit more salty since the last time we visited, Steve. So I thought I would start out for the books for the young kids. So if you got any young kids, Steve, you might heads up. I don't know if you'd ever want to get one of these books, but you might want to keep your eye out for them. Make sure, a few of them don't slip in there. Watch out for little man. We don't want him getting the wrong stuff. But here's Baby's First F-Bomb, put out by Sesame Street. And I don't know what's going on with Sesame Street, but I'll tell you, the funniest thing I ever saw a parody on Sesame Street, there's been a lot, but my favorite was Ozzy Osbourne, and is hosting Sesame Street, and the letters that they were featuring were F and U. It doesn't get much better than that. Praying I won't be an asshole when I grow up. The little bear at the bottom is saying you were born an asshole. This one scares the hell out of me, Steve. Have you ever seen anything scarier than a Humpty Dumpty that looks like this? This must be Humpty Dumpty's evil brother.
Nightmare fuel right there.
I think it's his evil twin or something. Your room smells like egg farts.
That's Humpty Dumbass right there.
Yep. That's frightening. That's frightening. That's an old book. The F bunnies want to know, what's your body count? We got 50, 20, 10, 0. Yeah, F y'all, I'm out. He's leaving his. Careful who you hang out with. This one's a little frightening. Does this not look like, who was that girl who was in those Disney movies? She had a real heavy English accent. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Look at her face. Talking about, but I can't think of her name. But it does. Looks familiar.
Repressing murderous rage with sugar. And the doll is the best part. I am not okay. This bunny gets me. The long and treacherous path to mediocrity. And the bunny says, "You're effed." He's gotten salty. I think he's gotten more salty.
Particularly in this series, the rabbits.
He's a gatekeeper. He's a gatekeeper. They're on their journey. As they go by, he just gives them he throws them wisdom. Hey, it's your path. Walk it the way you want. But you know what? You're effed. I love this one too. It's such an old book. It just seems so wrong. Oh gosh. Watch me do the bare minimum. I give a fraction of a.
Yeah, that was my day to day. I worked a regular job. That was the bare minimum.
The bare minimum.
Just not get fired. That was it.
I give a fraction, just a fraction.
Yeah,
not even a fraction. He's got the same problem that the sugar girl had, fighting the urge to eat these useless MFers. Yeah. Oh gosh, it's good to be king. This one I think is just a page torn from the Dick and Jane, or what were they called, Steve? Early readers.
Yeah.
I don't recall having the ones with the aliens in them. Was he a friend of Spot's, or Spot was a little dog? Wasn't it? Was his kitty too? Wasn't it?
I think Spot already got
Jane had a kitty. It's possible Spot's maybe that's why he's on the picture. Run, Jane, says Dick. See Dick run, see Jane run, see the alien run. Run, Dick and Jane, run, run, run. That'll get you reading, Steve.
Yeah, I used to hate
this one.
They did a lot of reading. Snow White meets the face hugger there.
It tickled. I'm sorry, it tickled me. This one. Oh gosh, the Bernstein Bear. Now this is probably because of the Mandela effect is mixing with CERN here. It looks to be, Steve. That's my call. The Bernstein Bears and their first kegger. This says Bernstein, doesn't it?
Yep, it does.
What did they switch it? It's switched now, hasn't it? Did I just catch a Mandela?
Like that, maybe.
I thought I got a Mandela on my hook, didn't I? I didn't even realize it. First time books. That's a good one. Look, she's got a big old bottle of popcorn. They had solo cups back then, apparently. Look at here. Look at here. Look at the kid with on the seat with the beer hat. Yep. That says Bernstein, doesn't it? Sure enough. That's blowing my mind. This is getting older for the older kids, Steve, I think. Yep. Yeah. Don't push the button. I love this one. It's so innocent. My kitty is a badass. Meow. Do you speak it? He's a clever guy. Clever. Oh, I remember this. Yeah. This went around in the 70s. We used to say it all the time. Ronald, what a spooky dude he is. Right out of the get. Right from the get, Steve. Gingerbread, look.
Yeah.
We know about gingers. You should already be forewarned right away. They're a little extra surly, I think. The gingers. I know. Speaking as one, I can tell you. I have days. Don't talk to me before coffee. Yeah, we got a coffee theme going tonight, don't we? We got the coffee maker. We got little man's coffee maker. Keep him away from the gingerbread man, at least until he's a little older. This one here, I love. We all love Pooh and the 100 Acre Wood, and they're tripping balls in the 100 Acre Wood. What's Pooh saying? What was in that, honey?
Yeah.
Oh, I love how the book looks worn, like it's an antique. I remember this cover. I think one of my sons had this book. I don't know if it was this exact book. The terrible, horrible, no good, very bad 4-day weekend. This, I'm staying in bed. Yeah. It's the bear that's the best. Spoiled shithead. Yeah. I can't remember what the actual title was of this book, but I remember that cover. This one we both believe in, don't we, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
You want to read that one?
It's Halloween when I effing say it is. And, we've already got our Halloween decorations up. You can't see
I've been saying Halloween, happy Halloween for a week just to annoy people. I feel like fall is here. I feel like it's coming.
It actually felt like it today outside. And I noticed, I opened the Walmart app on my phone, and they've got their Halloween shopping section open.
For sure.
I was in Shaw's grocery store the other day. They've already got Halloween candy out. So
Michael's had it like a month ago.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That was one thing I know I've said it on the show before, but you know what? I'm going to say it again. When I worked 10 years for AC Moore, and I made all the stuff in the samples, the inspiration, the stuff, like they would send me a box of wood shit and stuff and paint or some new product and say, make 5 different things out of each one of these. And I'm like, okay. And I would, and it was fun. I had a blast. I had my own office and stuff, my own hot glue gun. Man, I was just like, hold me back. But anyway, I have no idea what the hell I brought that up. AC Moore. What were we talking about? My train just hit a wall. Never mind. We'll move on with the books. I really did. It just my brain just completely shut off. Nancy Drew. I totally understand this one, Steve.
Yeah, the house is on fire. That spider was effing huge.
It was huge.
Get that too.
I mean, I don't blame her. This
case of the overcomplicated bong.
I mean, that's just funny. It's Nancy Drew. It's a Nancy Drew mystery. I love this. You got to get that. You got the. You got to have it in there too. Just calm the fuck down. There you go. We have seagulls all the time around our shop. It's our fault because we feed them. So they're going to be there. But let's try this tomorrow and see if it works. I feel this every damn day, Steve. Yeah. I am surrounded by fucking clowns to the left of me, clowns to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle of it. I guess you got to just make the best of it. Looks like this guy's just going for it. Yeah. My goodness. Yep. And I'm telling you what, cats are getting more salty. You're going to see it tonight. You can see the word. There is no excuse for this bullshit. Just go in the corner and quietly die. You got to watch out for them two colored-eyed cats there. Yep. This one here. Everyone and everything, including you, shit for brains. I love him so much. Do you not love this puppy? Just F off. I'm busy being fabulous. That's it. It was great. AC Moore, well, it was till they weren't. You know, I got stories. Trust me. You don't want to hear them now. I just love that. I think that's just sweet. I like her too. Just Little Miss F it. just entirely. Cats going with her. They all just leave the porridge and just go. I feel like this every day. The creepy little elf in the corner, Steve. Remember that? And look at the price, 25 cents.
Yeah.
Remember the little elf?
That guy, absolutely 25 cents.
Peeking around that little binder there? Yeah. I remember him. This is my absolute favorite. I don't know why. It's just so in your face, sarcastic, you and your headache. It's just.
I'm playing the cymbals.
I'm doing it. It's just we're tired of hearing it. You know, that's it. We're just gonna play our music. We're gonna dance. We're gonna have a good time. But there it is. Your childhood ruined, and he's always a good laugh. Well, there you go. Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid. Etta Place,
ruined, all in the same show.
On the same show, and a coffee maker.
Yeah.
You know, always try to bring it back. I
took it in the other room.
That's lovely. Lovely. I have to have one like that. I don't mind a percolator. You know, used to have one of these. My father-in-law had one. If anybody's ever drank the Castillo, I mean, that's for serious people. I've got bags of it all over the house. It comes in a little yellow brick. And this is the official coffee of Puerto Rico, I believe.
Yeah.
And it is so good. And my father-in-law, my ex-father-in-law, would have a percolator that's very heavy steel. It's like a camping one. In fact, it's the one I described in Cabin 22. It's where I got the idea from it. And it's a camping one, too. You can put it on an open flame stove, open flame campfire. It's great. And it's really hefty. And it's I think it's German made or something. It's really cool. About that big. And you've got one of those. It all screws together and stays, really tight. It's almost like a pressure cooker in a way. But that makes some good coffee. So besides that one, exactly the one you just got, and just like a Mr. Coffee. Remember those when they came out? Everything was that came out around the same time. Those electric fryers. Remember the square ones with the lids, and Mom would put it right on the table, plug it in, kids and all. Hands grabbing hot grease, it didn't matter. Fried daddies, everything came to the dining room table. It was a big deal. Yep. So who do you think? Do you think Butch made it? You think Sundance made it? Did they make it out of Bolivia? Do you think they lived and went on and
I think they
carried on?
Did well and carried on, and
I do too.
A little bit of quiet solitude there after the wild life they'd lived with the Wild Bunch. Now, all the Wild Bunch didn't make it. Kid Curry, Harvey Logan, he got shot down, but I think some of the other ones. But I think Butch and Sundance made it to the other side.
I do too. So another mystery pretty much solved. I mean, you don't have to have a definitive, but if there's enough evidence out there, I think this one absolutely outweighs in evidence against, like, say, one like Billy the Kid, where you've got the Brushy Bill story, and then you've got and you can listen to that one. For some reason, I can listen to the Brushy Bill story and a couple other ones. I think there's another one out there too, and I can listen to both of them and believe them both at the and I'm just as confused as when I started. I'm not getting anything that's so sharp and crisp clear that it gives me a definitive, okay, that's how it went down, because you can't move past that. That's a fact. You know what I mean? And there's something along those lines. With this one, they're looking at bones, they're trying to get DNA, and the most believable thing out of this whole thing, and then we'll finish, and I wonder if you feel the same, that the story was they were out there, they were looking to move on. They didn't want to be there. They wanted to be back home. They, they had families. Butch really was that kind of guy that aided him what his mother went through. It aided him when he heard that she was sickened and could have made her worse, made her pass. He couldn't get over it. They had a conscience. They were both very humorous. They were both very like kind of prank, always laughing. They were very much like the soldiers in the foxholes that have that laughter in the face of adversity and danger, So a lot of that's why that movie took that and ran with it. And they had that camaraderie. It was so important, that second pick. You can see Steve McQueen doing it with Robert. You see what I mean? With Paul Newman. But they had it. Redford, I mean, like we said, and Catherine Ross as well. So that was a big deal because that's all they really had to go on. The way, and of course what they stole and how they got away and what they did after. They stayed on started a lot of ranches. They stole horses. They were good one day and bad the next, but they weren't climbing a clock tower and shooting 100 people,
Yeah.
So that kind of puts them in a little different category. But I love that camaraderie between them and the humor that they used. And, maybe that's why they got through. Maybe that's why they pushed through. So when they were there in Bolivia, they, of course, made friends with other gringos that were hiding out. And that's one reason they went. And 2 guys did rob that place. And they were said to be gringos. That was the words they used. And this one guy just goes up and says, hey, that must be Butch and Sundance. And, oh, my gosh, you got Butch and Sundance and blah, blah, blah. And the people just ran with it. Nobody identified bodies. Nobody, whatever. This was a friend of Butch and Sundance. Supposedly he went back and told Butch, hey, guess what? You can go home. You're dead. And Butch said, what? What do you mean? And the guy said, you just got so lucky. 2, deadbeats just got shot up and nobody knows who they are. I don't know who they are, whatever. And I told him it was you. You can go home. And he went home. Makes sense to me. Supposedly Etta left, right before that. They were in the little scuffle. They robbed a couple of small things. Not much out there. They tried to keep a low profile and went home. And I believe that everybody, so many different people. I could have brought 20 different interviews up here. Somebody's youngest sister or cousin Mary that all said Butch came home. And I really dug until I could find somebody that said, so did Sundance. And I found it. So I'm done. Thanks, Steve, for running through that. Now, listen, our thing was last night with Lynn. Because, listen, if you haven't heard that, I think it was a pretty good one. We really delved into some deep stuff in that one that I think if you're very interested in ghosts and trying to understand what the hell's going on, I think that was a good conversation. How much of it plays on there, the whole thing?
Yeah, 2 hours worth.
Yeah, there you go. So if you want to hear 2 hours worth of me and Steve and Lynn having a good conversation, that really, I thought it went really well. And, I was surprised. Great. I think we came up with some good theories on a couple of older tales and a couple of new ones, I think. So get over there. And how do they do that, Steve? Tell them.
It's on the Clyde Lewis Ground Zero Radio Network. I can drop a link here if Kathita hasn't already.
Kathita, you got it, baby.
Or you can go to YouTube or Google, rather. Type in everything out there, Steve Stockton. It'll come up for you.
There you go. And you're doing your the disappearance, different things around in each state.
Yeah, that's on Tales Untold. And then, of course, disappearances, missing persons and mysteries on there.
Are you going to dig into that one with the disappearances that happened out here in the Pine Barrens? You and Nick should do a whole thing on that. And maybe I could find out more about the devil. Maybe, who knows? Look, I'm open, folks. If somebody comes up with something that gives me an idea that, what they're seeing out there is that, then fine. They're definitely seeing stuff. I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong. Don't misquote me. But, it's creepy out there. It doesn't have to be anything. There's enough, believe me. All around here, this whole place, all kind of haunted stuff. I've done so many different things on that. And I'm continuing in Liberty. We are now on, Lynn and I packed that one up for Liberty. We did our number 6. I can't believe it's been but it's been nice through the summer to, do that Revolution Rewind, digging into all the characters. Now we're going to take a look at Sons of Liberty and see what happens when you get a lot of extra, a very broad brush and a lot of literary license, a lot of imagination. And, if you want to like flip history, but it's still a great little series and it's very entertaining. So we're going to do Sons of Liberty, and then we're going to finish up with the Culper Spy Ring. So Lynn and I will be doing that on Sundays, and see Steve and I here on Mondays, and never know what we're going to do. We don't even know what we're going to do. Yep. My love to Nick, and I don't know where we're going to go on the way out here tonight. Let's see. You know what? Let's go to Africa. My love. And listen, everybody, thanks for being here. And did they say whether or not they think that before we leave, do you think they made it? Did they make it? I don't think anybody put it in here, but I think everybody probably believes that they made it out of there. I know everybody in this chat would be glad that they made it past that, didn't get gunned down in a freeze frame for the rest of their life. Yep. You know what I mean? All right. Good night, everybody. I love you, Steve.
Good night. Thank you, sister.
Good night, Mulder. Good night, Nick.
Good night. Good night. Good night, everybody in the chat. See you soon.
Let's go to Africa. I love these animals. This is a beautiful, beautiful song. Good night, sweetheart.